Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. My name is Michael Wickerson. This will be a short video. I'm just going through the Rhinoscriptsyntax scripts, base scripts off of Rhino development, dealing with rotate objects, scale object, move object, and mirror object. And what I started doing was let's get a turntable. You see all the projects here. They're pretty simple little scripts. Actually, they couldn't be much simpler. And I've actually tucked them into layers. In Rhino, so I could actually bring them out if I wanted to, uh, uh, if I felt like it. So I'm just actually getting a little more organized in my 3DM files, even though I don't make a big deal of those. So we can delete all those, and you can see that I could actually pull up that one with I baked before, and I pulled up that one before. And then I was going to save the move one, and then I was going to do mirror object. Then I got kind of bored with that. So we will just leave it in here and take a look at everything as we go. We're still going to get into these miscellaneous ones, and hopefully I'll do something creative and the line surface and surface evaluations. I think by then we'll be done with Rhinoscript syntax for a little while, maybe go into development and do some ones that we haven't done, or some what I refer to as corollaries from these main scripts. But it will get you scripting, at least in the Ghpython node, if you do these exercises. And of course, we've gone through the point line surface geometries, we've gone through the vectors, and we've gone through the selection inputs. This file will be worth grabbing because it's just a quick scripted, thing that everything's working in, or pretty much everything's working. If it isn't, I put it in red, and I put it in yellow if it's kind of cautionary. So that's just a system I'm getting used to. So let's grab everything else here, and let's just turn that on to disable, and let's take a look at this object here. And this script is fairly straightforward. We'll show you how it's made. Will being me. So what I did was I went in and I have a script in the Python node which couldn't be simpler, at least in my opinion. So let's just drag that over if I can grab it. And there it is. It's import Rhinoscriptsyntax. And I do these little checks with if object, if center. That's just to make sure I have my inputs and they're working and they're set to the right type hints, the right list access or single access or tree access, which I haven't got to yet, and basically just outputting A as the Rhinoscript function, rotate object. You need an object, you need a center, you need degrees, you need a plane. And that's exactly what I ended up putting into the node. So, of course, you could always go up to your transformations and go into your Euclidean, take a look at all the rotates and how they deal differently, but you've ended up, going in and basically thinking of these scripts. And then I did a lot of pre-input stuff, and so I grabbed a center box, and there it is on its plane. I deconstructed the center box into all its elements. I found its centroid, and all I really did was put the centroid and its vertices into the object's rotation, set by the degrees 180, so I can change it. I really like this transformative, Borg, and I can still play off of it and do some because I have a vector that's playing between the plane, or the plane's being directed by the vectors. I kind of like that motion. I just like that nice little simple animation. So grab it, animate it, 12 frames, okay, and there you go. Get your nice little animation box, and if you're into that, then go ahead. And if not, you can still go back and control fully some really wonderful things by just playing with the plane vector. And there you go. Nice simple script, really playful, flips around, has some fun, whatever you want to do with it. And I output it into this geometry. And of course, in the end, taking all that and leaving the script in Grasshopper, I've got it, like I showed earlier, on a layer, so I can pop it out, and there's my form, yada, 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 the bake. Probably won't keep my 3D files. They're pretty simple. So let's just keep moving. Grab this one and go to disable. Jump into this one, and we'll see what we have going on here in a minute. Let's close out the other Python script. Really get in the habit of closing it out with OK, not just testing it. Otherwise, you'll end up changing a script to another Python node that's in the same file, and that'll make sense in a bit. So what I did here was I generated this kind of other box structure that I think is kind of interesting, and we could take a look at it from all angles if you wanted to. And you'll have to play with zoom extends all, because actually zoom extend all probably wouldn't be so great because I've got many files in here, but there it is. There's the object. I do have control over it. I did the same type of thing from vertices and jumped in here and made a box, a brep, debrepped it, deconstructed it, found its centroid, put it all in origins to orient, and there you go. You can really play off the triple scale and get kind of this really fun pattern of objects. And you can do pre and post input and post nodes to this thing. So they're like little program pieces of geometry that I like to play with and slowly, just become more and more custom of what do I need and kind of put it in my head. Okay, I need an object, I need an origin. And then I took my inputs from my XYZ and made those parametric right here. So nice little scripted box. I can't remember what True's about. I'll have to look at it, copying the original or leaving the original or something like that. But you can take that look on, you can do that by just typing in the Rhinoscript RS, if you've made Rhinoscriptsyntax as rs.scaleObject, start your parentheses, and I'll tell you exactly what you need. So close that out, nice little file, nothing too thrilling. And then my third one I think is the most interesting, my last one. Well, I hope it's the most interesting, but here it is, a lot of pre and post nodes, and this was the one that was moving object, yeah. So let's just jump in there and see what I ended up making, enabling that. And there it is. And I could have done more with it, but I did have some fun. I took it a quad sphere. I really do like the quad sphere and deep-repping it because you get all these wonderful vertices. You get the centroid. I did the same type of thing, start and end, and I actually made it so I can kind of do this and gather it. And it's trying to make more versions. And the script itself, I could play off of that, being inputted as the count and start to write it into the script more, but I basically needed an ID, a start and end, and then built yourself a translation vector, and then I moved the object according to that vector. And I just did a little pre and post stuff, so when I was done that script, we'll just tuck it in down here. What was I doing with that geometry when I was done? You get the ability, actually like it set close to itself. I did what I usually do, which is very simple, just a 3D rotation through a range. With the list length item, and then setting that domain as to what you can do, so you kind of get some control over these balls. And then I also threw it a scale, so I could actually play off of that and have a minimum scale and a maximum scale. So now when I play off of these, this is parametric to size and growth, but it's always to the pattern of where it's going. And once again, just kind of clustering spheres together and having fun. Had a student today that was really having fun in Blender with the meta ball, and I thought he'd really come up with some nice iterations and animations and videos. So that was fun. Anyway, this is post, kind of, simple geometry, rotations, and transformation nodes after using a simple function to get into making a vector for the move object. So pretty simple scripts. Have fun. You can make complex enough things to think of turning to fabrication. And my last assignment, I give myself assignments. Let's just jump in here and look at the mirror object. Take that to enable, and I did something very basic and simple. So let's just go in there and see. I started with the quad sphere again, which I liked. I then deep-repped it. I found its centroid. I tucked that into the object. And the start and end, I had fun with these list items. And I grabbed the odd list items to the start being the number 1. And you can go in here and you can play off of it. And it's basically deciding like where it's going to move itself to and jump around. And it's making an output of, how many objects now? 4 objects almost every time. I take the list items and I just do a solid union brep on all of them. Now, and the main point of this was to go in and just grab a bake in the end. You can group them. And what I like is now I have something that's like my ideal, like when I move to Mars, which I'm fully planning. If people don't know, I started the ITCSU along 3 years ago, which is the Intergalactic Technological Campaign into the search for the unknown, and I think I'm going there more and more. So I drop this little building in, I Control-Shift-Edit my little dome, my poly surface, and I delete it, and that's my portal into my little village where I want to live. So that's kind of what I'm playing off of. And if you need something a little sci-fi, then go to your analysis, surface analysis environment, and there you go. You get your little mirrored area that you can enter and live within this little structure. And I really kind of like that. And I don't know if I'd ever model this. And of course, I can just select edit again here, and I need a backdoor, so let's get rid of that. Let's poly surface and get rid of that one. So there you go. Got a way in, a way out, and that's what I'm going to live in on Mars. So I hope you enjoyed that. Michael Wickerson here from Wickerson Studios, having fun with nodes for sure. Disabling it, like I said, my next habitat. And we will tuck all of these into this very simple add to group, and we'll get into the miscellaneous and the line curves. And I've kind of been waiting for this, and hopefully I can make something exciting through this. And after that, I think we've got the basics of a cheat sheet for getting Rhinoscriptsyntax into Ghpython nodes. And if you can't make something interesting by starting to compile this into single or half a dozen Python nodes that run a script, then you're not that imaginative. I think it'll be easy and have some fun with it and become more and more accustomed to it. So instead of working off the ribbon tool or the shelf, I call it sometimes, and depending on plugins, let's hope we can make some pretty cool geometries and forms and programs that generate things that, that get us thinking. Thanks very much for watching. 10 minutes.